not seeing the fact that the Mayan calendar ends on December 21st, 2012 is largely happenstance. It doesn't signify anything. And in fact, we have an issue coming out in which we address a lot of 2012 issues. And we have an article written by a fellow who, Christopher Nagiris, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And he has actually spent time in the Yucatan Peninsula with the Mayan people, with the present-day Mayans, and they do not have any kind of interpretation in regards to the end of the world as far as the Mayan calendar ending. So if the Mayans don't think that the end of the Mayan calendar signifies the end of the world, then I don't think that's good enough for me. Take it from the source. And then there's all kinds of other fringe theories out there about Planet X and whatnot. And I take a more practical stance. I mean, just looking around, there's a perfect storm brewing, and these are all issues that are right in our faces. I mean, we don't have to speculate about any kind of mythical or and I'm not saying I'm not interested in those things. I am. I've always been a avid.
No, I mean what you're saying is there are plenty of down to earth reasons to be prepared. You don't have to reach for theories in outer space to have a justification to get prepared. I mean, just look at the Fed, right?
They may, exactly, and they may not be as dramatic or as sexy as or interesting as say the planet Nibiru crashing down on us. But I mean, with the growing food crisis that we have, increasing disasters, the peak oil issue, water shortages. Right now, the Ogallala aquifer is being pumped dry, where experts are predicting that eventually the American breadbasket is going to turn back into the Dust Bowl, and it's the same thing is happening in other countries. Overpopulation, this is another issue people roll their eyes about, and I did too. I was like, what are you talking about? There's still plenty of real estate to go around, but overpopulation is not about overcrowding. We may still have plenty of space, but we're starting to outstrip our resources. We're using up our water. We're using up our ability for producing food, and we're using up too many resources. It's getting to the point where nature doesn't have a chance. Like through commercial farming practices, our soil is becoming depleted, and we're losing topsoil. We're losing the nutrients in the soil because of the way that factory farms operate. Right. And it's not just here. This is, you have to really look at what's going on a global basis in China, in India. Those people are starving, and they're depleting their aquifers faster than they can be replenished. They're depleting their soil. So, there's a number of issues that, the economy being chief among them, that, are just bearing down on us. And
I like, Ed, how you describe this as a slow motion collapse, where it's not like you wake up one day and everything's on fire and the whole system has collapsed. It's actually, I mean, maybe in the future, when historians look back at this time, they will call it one event. They'll have one name for this era of change and reform and collapse and rebirth, perhaps. But when you're living in it, it feels like slow motion. And I think that's a really wise message from you, that we need to be able to see the signs and recognize that we're in this time of change without needing to see that, the whole world's exploding and aliens are jumping out of their lizard skin and taking Federal Reserve officials back to Planet X or whatever they do. I mean, this is real, and it's kind of slower than what a lot of people imagine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and people ask me all the time. Well, for predictions, when is this going to happen? What do you think? How much time do you think we have left? And there are situations, or there are certain events that could happen. For example, we're coming into a solar maximum where we could have another Carrington event. For those of you who aren't familiar, the last time we had a massive solar storm was back in 1859, which wiped out, all we had back then were telegraph lines, but it wiped out our telegraph system and started fires and whatnot. And scientists are saying that we're overdue for that, and this year could possibly be, if we get hit by a solar flare. Another issue is that the magnetic field around the Earth, there is a major gap in the magnetic field.
Sure.
Now, what got me interested in survivalism in the first place, I classified myself as an outdoorsman. I just like camping and hiking, living in extreme environments. And I got woken up by the fact I saw a documentary that was produced back in the 80s about what actually happens when the grid goes down, and I think most people, they downplay it, or they don't, and think, oh, we'll just break out the candles and, we'll be fine, but in a long-term situation, power loss situation that will last for years, if our grid crashes due to an EMP or a solar flare, which creates an EMP event, that could be one of those situations where we wake up one morning and our world is fundamentally transformed. We're basically back into 19th century existence.
Yeah, that's where people will really wish they had gone through the skills and practiced these things, and not just read the books and watched the TV shows. Any last thoughts as we wrap this up? Just to follow up on the grid crash event, I mean, there's going to be a long period of time too where there's going to be looting and rioting, and it's going to be very dangerous times, and it's not going to be a good time to live in a city. So. My recommendation is to all people. I mean, I hope we would have had more time to discuss the membership site that we have, is to be prepared, start stocking up on food, and even if there isn't an economic collapse, food prices are going up, oil prices are going to go up, and oil prices affect the price of everything else. Yeah,
because it all has to be, it takes petroleum to grow our crops, it takes petroleum to transport our crops, it takes petroleum to do everything. We do not have an infrastructure to live in a non-petroleum based society, and so food storage, even if there is no major economic collapse, you're going to save yourself a lot of money by buying your food now and putting it away, and you'll have that for if something drastic does happen overnight, or if we just find ourselves ignoring the road signs and find ourselves in a situation where, like, how did we get here? You'll have those provisions available, and a good place to start is at CompleteSurvivalist.com. That's our site where we have tons of survival guides, experts, expert interviews. We have a biweekly mastermind calls where people can ask their questions and learn how to get prepared, because it's a lot more than just food.
I'm going to ask you on Natural News as well. I'm sure Alex will want to talk to you again, but I appreciate you joining us, and I'll give out your website again here for those who want to learn more. But the bottom line is, you're a guy who's been out there on the front lines of the survival industry, so to speak, and you sort of aggregate all the top knowledge from those out there, different writers. James Wesley Rawls, survivalblog.com, also wrote an article for you, and he's well informed. So a lot of folks. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I think you bring a lot of value to the public. Thanks for joining us tonight, Ed.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. It was a pleasure.
All right, folks, that was Ed Corcoran from CompleteSurvivalist.com. A lot of good information from him there. Definitely take this seriously, folks. 2012 is here. The world is changing rapidly, and it's time to do more than just listen and just be a spectator. Be an active participant in taking care of your own safety, your own health, your own freedom in 2012 and beyond. Thank you for watching Infowars Nightly News tonight. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger from Natural News, signing off on Monday, January 16th. Have a good night. We'll talk to you again soon.